Welcome, everyone. This title is called The Necessity of Rest. So let's get started. I'm going to start with Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. And I love this commentary. We busy ourselves with inconsequential activities. We fill our lives with incessant noise, commotion, and busyness that distracts us from God's presence. It is in the stillness that we find God.
That is so true. That is so true.
Isn't that good?
It's really good. And I know that in times of stress, a lot of times people busy themselves more than they even necessarily need to distract themselves from whatever it is that they're facing. You know,
It's really good, babe.
Well, it's true. Some people, when they are facing a certain situation in their life, they get in bed and they hide. They don't even want to talk to anybody. They stop answering calls. They're they're sleeping all the time. They're sort of disappearing because they can't face what's happening. And there's other people that resort to different addictions that they feel are going to try to bring them comfort, which actually only exacerbate whatever their problem is. But then there's those that busy themselves to the point where they do not have a second to rest.
Yeah, that's really good.
And that is just as dangerous to you as not getting out of bed and not talking to people or turning to an addiction. It really is just as detrimental to you, and it's detrimental to your receiving from the Lord, because if you are running and running and running all the time and you never have a moment of rest and peace to read the word or do praise and worship or spend time with the Lord, you're not going to hear from him. You're not going to be able to have any peace in your heart and in your spirit. And you are wearing yourself out.
Yeah, when you said that, Hebrews chapter 4, verse 11 says, "Let us therefore be diligent to enter that rest."
Yeah.
So that's actually pursuing it, being diligent, and being aware of it, how important that rest is.
It really is. You have to purpose yourself for rest. And I think that sometimes in order to avoid certain things, it's like years ago they used to say the man that didn't want to come home to his family, that didn't want to deal with his wife and his kids and the things in his personal life, would just live at the office. They were always at work. They never came home, and they were working like 7 days a week. And it sounded good because they weren't, doing something negative, so to speak. Well, I'm just working. I'm working all the time. I'm 7 days a week. I'm at the office.
Take care of the family.
Gotta take care of the office and do all this. But the problem is that what you're really doing is avoiding the elephant that's in the room. And the thing is, as long as you continue to avoid it, the elephant stays in the room. So every time you do come home, the elephant is there in the middle of the room still waiting for you because you have never dealt with it. And that's what continues to happen when you are just running all the time, trying to avoid certain things. You just get to the place where you're running yourself ragged, you're really burning out, and you're exhausted. You're probably getting a short fuse because you're tired and burned out. But that elephant is still in the middle of the room,
right? Because
you've never dealt with it. So the only way to deal with the problem is to get into the place of rest with the Lord, so he can give you guidance and perspective on how to deal with whatever the issue is.
Yeah, here's another chapter and verse, Psalm 130. Verse 5, I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his word I do hope. I'm going to read this commentary. There is no point in rushing ahead with their lives if God does not go with us. It is always better to wait on the Lord than to proceed without him.
Absolutely.
What Gina's talking about, when people keep going and going, I think that just becomes a habit and it becomes the norm. And you just get so used to doing that, that's just your everyday life, and it just becomes natural to you. And then what happens is you may not even realize it, that you're really not getting that alone time with the Father.
Yes.
You're not getting that alone time worshiping the Lord, and the alone time getting in the Word for yourself.
And the relationship that you have with the Lord does not come from you doing many good deeds and good works. And this just came to me while you were speaking. There are people in churches that are volunteering for everything. I mean, they are doing the nursery, they are helping with food pantry, they are cleaning the church, they're singing on the choir, they're doing a million different things, and everything there is to sign up for, these people are there volunteering because it's like they are doing the good works of the Lord. That's great. And you should be doing good works for the Lord. However, it should be flowing out of your relationship with him.
Amen.
If you never have time to get alone with him and to pray and to read his word and to praise and worship and to take communion and just get in that place with the Lord, you don't have a relationship with him. What you have is, I know he exists, I know who he is, from reading what I've read of his word.
I know about him.
Now I know about him, so now I'm just gonna try to do as many good things for him as I can and just keep showing him how glad I am. That's not what the Lord does want you to do good things, but what he wants is a relationship with you. He wants time with you. He wants you to know him. You know, I mean, and there's
So
only
good.
one way to do that.
Yeah, I think about 3 or 4 days ago, Gina and I just started taking communion together, and every night we spend time taking communion and really just being still, thinking about what the bread actually is, you know, the body of Jesus, and the cup, you know, the blood, and really just remembering the Lord's death that he says to do. Remember, you know, his death until he comes. That's why we're doing that, and thanking him, and we're just getting in his presence.
You need to do that even in a relationship. If all I ever did was good deeds for Chopper, so I wash his clothes, I make him dinner, I buy him things, I, clean the house for him, and I do all these good deeds for him, but I never sit down and have a conversation with him. I never spend time just sitting in his presence. I never listen to him. We don't spend any time together, but I just keep doing good works for him. We don't have a relationship.
That's really good, babe. So if it's that way...
That's not a relationship.
Yeah, if it's that way in a human relationship, think about how much more important it is with your relationship with God.
Exactly.
So we're asking you, we want to stretch you guys a little bit this week and just, really examine yourself and how much time. It's not a condemning message. None of these are. If anything, it's a healthy conviction, and it just gives you time to examine yourself between you and the Lord. And if there's areas that you're like, well, I never even really noticed that. I'm not getting this time in, or I'm doing this because I'm not trying to focus on this other thing that's going on. It would be good to do it this week. When we talk about rest, we have to read Matthew chapter 11, 28 and 29. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. So the rest is in Jesus.
It is.
Putting your focus on Him and spending time with Him.
Absolutely. And then a lot of those things that you're, like spending lots of time, your wheels are turning all the time of what avenue should I take my business in? What direction should I take my life in? Should I sell my home and move to a condo? What should I do about this? What should I do about that? And you spend a lot of time burning a lot of energy thinking of these things, and it can keep you up at night, and then you're up all night thinking in your mind, and then you're having lots of phone conversations with people about what do you think about this? Let me tell you my situation. What do you think?
Yeah. If you slow down and stop, you'll hear His still small voice, so He can tell you what He thinks, because that's the most important thing.
That's right.
When you're constantly going and in motion, you're not going to hear Him that way. Nothing can replace alone time with God. Nothing replaces that. Like Gina said earlier, that's like the first and foremost, that is the most important thing that you could do for yourself as a believer, is to have that time with God, because when you're in His presence, there is fullness of joy, and the joy of the Lord is your strength.
Right.
And then when you're at peace, then when you're around other people, you can be peaceful towards them, you can be loving to them, you can be merciful, you can have self-control. It's called the fruit of the Spirit, right?
Yes.
There's 9 of them. But where does that come from? It comes from being in His presence. That doesn't just come from being in a church service and hearing someone teach about them. That only comes from relationship.
That's absolutely true.
That cannot be taught. Well, I mean, it can be taught, but to actually live it out, it has to be, you have to do that one for yourself. Your pastor can't give you his time with the Lord.
Absolutely not. That's something, it is a relationship.
He can teach from his time with the Lord, but nothing can replace your alone time with the Lord.
That's right.
It doesn't take the place of it.
So rest in the Lord. Allow Him to speak into your life. Allow Him to give you peace. Allow Him to give you comfort. Allow Him to give you direction. Spend enough time with Him that you can actually receive some direction from Him about what He wants you to do, or where He wants you to go, or how He wants you to handle something.
Yes. I mean, look, there's 24 hours in a day. God has given each one of us the same amount of time. That's the kind of a private joke between Gina and I. But we're just going to say there's 24 hours in a day, and each of us have the same allotted time. It's just, what do we choose to do with that?
Yes.
What are we doing with that time?
Right.
We love you guys. Rest. And we understand people have busy schedules. No one's saying, you just shut everything down. We understand people have to work, and there's things that have to be done.
Of course.
But just don't forget to enter into His rest.
Yes.
We love you guys. God bless you.